So I'm a sucker for free webinars. I sign up for them hoping to glean as much free content as possible. And truthfully, sometimes I sign up knowing full well I can't make it live. I just like to watch the Masterclass promotion go down. Today is going to be fun. Masterclasses, free trainings, webinars, and how VAs fit into this world. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Reagan, and you've discovered Unicorns Unite. This is a podcast for freelancers, service providers, virtual assistants, and curious listeners who would like to experience the freedom and flexibility of working virtually. We're the magic makers, movers and shakers, and the real people doing the work behind the scenes of online businesses. Welcome to Unicorns Unite. Hey, Emily here. I'm really excited to slide open the curtain and show you the inside world of webinars today. Before I get started today, I wanted to invite you to sign up for Amy Porterfield's brand new Masterclass, How to Create and Launch a Profitable Digital Course from Scratch. The 5 behind-the-scenes secrets to generate revenue year-round. The link to sign up for her webinar /masterclass/free training is in the show notes. You'll be able to see the master in action on this one. So I encourage you to sign up. Once again, that link is in the show notes. So I want you to know about webinars. Webinars are a fancy way to launch a new product. Here's what I want you to know. Webinars are just a fancy way to launch a product online. It's educational-based marketing made perfectly for the internet. Webinars share information and knowledge with the purpose of building trust. It's a strategy that establishes credibility and trust with everyone who's attending the webinar, and it helps put the person doing the webinar in a position of authority. If done right, a webinar will teach something amazing, knock down one big domino where the audience is really struggling, and leave them wanting to work with that person at the next level. Webinars are usually free and part of a marketing funnel to get people introduced to the products to buy. Webinars help bring in a new wave of emails with the hope that a certain percentage of those people will be convinced to buy. So this is the beginning of a sales funnel, and using conversion numbers and rates to figure out if you put this much money into Facebook ads, how many people will attend, how many people will buy, and what will be the profit. So this is when stuff gets really fun in the online digital marketing world. So have you ever seen that new TV show? It's called On Becoming a God in Central Florida with Kirsten Dunst. She's a mom in Florida, obviously, and it's in the 1980s, so the costumes are hilarious. But the main character, signs up for a multi-level marketing company, kind of like Amway or something. And the show is actually really dark, but there's a couple of scenes with in-person seminars where the MLM company has speakers trying to convince people to sign up to work for the company, sign up to the downline. And it's just like you picture it, like the company upline people are speaking on stage and selling magical stories of success, and the people in the audience are listening and buying in and falling for it and signing up for the company. Well, webinars are kind of like that. They're basically online seminars, but they're not really MLMs. Like the modern day webinar is ultimately selling something. And usually it's a digital course, a membership, or a service that will help people. But webinars nowadays are usually pretty meaty, and they really teach the audience 3 to 7 main things. They're not the time waste like in the TV show with Kirsten Dunst. It's not quite like that nowadays, but you'll often hear webinars called Masterclasses, free trainings. It kind of avoids that bad connotation that those MLM seminars have. So I did a webinar from my last 2 launches of my course, and it was called How to Work Online, 5 Areas Online Business Owners Are Hiring Now. And for about an hour, I teach original content, everything from inside my brain, to everyone who signed up, with the goal that if they're the right fit, they'll want to sign up for my Digital Media VA crash course. So I walk through 5 different roles where these types of positions fit into the grand scheme of things, who would be good at what kind of job tasks are happening, and ultimately I offer a live launch of my crash course. There's a lot that goes into a webinar, and it's something you can help out with as a freelancer. I've helped out clients and I have a team helping out me, and a lot of my peers are looking for virtual assistants to help them. This is actually one of the first positions that Amy Porterfield will teach her students, to find a VA to help them on their webinars. So I think this is a great place for you to start if you're new to the VA world. All of the pre-webinar work is usually tech, copywriting, and very design heavy. There's multiple opportunities for a VA to help. So let's start from the beginning of building a webinar, and I'll try to stay in order and give you ideas how you can fit in to this very obvious marketing funnel. So the first thing any business owner needs help with is building the slide decks. And slide decks are the new fancy way of saying PowerPoint. I personally only use Google Slides and Keynote. I have never been a fan of PowerPoint presentations at all. So it's really funny that I have gotten to this point where I'm doing it for my own business, but I digress here. So I have a Mac, so I use Keynote. I also use Google Slides. But I do want to tell you, I used to do the slide decks for my client, Jennifer Allwood, when she spoke at live events. The formula for webinars is very similar, but I found myself making those presentations in Canva because I had better design capabilities, and her whole goal with her slides was for them to be very memorable and fun and tweetable, right? We wanted people in the audience to take pictures of them. So PowerPoint wasn't cutting it for me. I don't think I had this pretty Mac at the time, but now Canva lets you do entire presentations very similar to PowerPoint, and you can share them with a single link. So it's really good for speakers because you don't have to put them on a thumb drive or anything. You just share the link. You can do that with Keynote and whatnot. But I'm just telling you this so you can really up your game. If you haven't been working for a while, you'll seem super smart. And just know that Canva is also a really good avenue. So the slide decks usually involve lots of graphics, editing, making sure there's no typos, but it can quickly turn into a mess if you have an unorganized client or a client who's not ready with their content. So the client needs to have a solid content framework ready to go before you can really help them with this. And there's definitely a formula for webinars. And the more you watch free ones, the more you sign up for webinars and stock them out, you can learn a lot on your own. Of course, Amy Porterfield, who I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, she's the go-to teacher for all things webinar. I learned from her inside her Digital Course Academy. It was one of the main reasons I signed up for her course last year. So if you want, go back to episode 15, you can hear my own story. But there's also a really good book called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. He has quite a few chapters talking about the webinar model and how to create the perfect webinar and what that looks like. If you sign up for Digital Course Academy, or if your client has, it's possible to do an upsell and buy Amy Porterfield slides. And that makes life so much easier because it's all laid out there for you in the order. And then as your client launches, you can always tweak it and make it your own. So I think the slides are a great starting place, but there's also a big tech part when you're starting with webinars, and you got to figure out the webinar platform. Most of my clients are already married to their webinar software at this point, but sometimes you'll get clients who are new, who haven't done it before, or they're willing to switch. So of course, Zoom is really popular right now, but let me tell you, it is not my favorite. I prefer Demio, Demio. I should see if I have an affiliate link. If I have one, I'll post the link in the comments. You can bet. But I like that one better. I like Demio better because I can use it much more easily. Let me explain that. It goes better with Kajabi, and it makes Facebook ads easier. And I don't want to go off on a tangent explaining that, but just trust me, Zoom makes it a little bit more complicated, which becomes a tech headache. There's plenty of other webinar softwares out there. Webinar Jam, Easy Webinar, GoToWebinar. Oh my gosh, there's so many. So if your client has one that you haven't heard of, don't worry. Just because you haven't used it before doesn't mean you can't learn it. And if you are looking to learn some of this on your own right now, I suggest starting with either Demio or Zoom and teach yourself the ins and outs, and you'll be golden. Just go in there and explore. Look at the webinar settings and you'll be good. Hey, this podcast is sponsored by my very own GIF and sticker making workshop. Turn your clients' videos into GIFs, design branded stickers for Instagram stories, and master the art of making your own GIF for promo emails. This is fun unicorn magic that we can do behind the scenes easily for our clients. The workshop is 1 hour, just $17.99. The link is in the show notes, or go to emilyreaganpr.com/GIF workshop. That's GIF workshop. Back to the show. The easy part is setting up the webinar room, when you can add branding, buy links, freebie links, and of course, the slides. The harder part of the webinar is integrating it with the client's email service provider. Sometimes you have to use Zapier to connect the two so they're speaking, but clients will always have varying tech stacks. So you want to work ahead of time to make sure the webinar and the email platforms are talking to each other. Basically, when somebody signs up for the webinar, you want to make sure they get the right email and the right link to the right webinar. And you want to be able to tag them and make sure they get all of the emails to remind them to show up. So don't wait to the last minute is what I'm saying. You'll also need, for the tech part, you'll need a landing page where people can sign up. You'll want to have the pre-written email sequences. Facebook ads are involved. And inside my Digital Media VA crash course, I teach all of this. But right now, you're just getting a feel of like what exists. So one of the hardest things about a webinar is getting people to show up live. If you can get between 20 or 30% of the people who originally signed up to attend live, your client is sitting pretty. I've heard the stat 25% is pretty good, but it's going to vary based on your client's audience. You're going to want to make sure your client picks the right time. Think about who their audience is and when they're available. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I signed up for a lot of webinars knowing I cannot actually make it live, but knowing I will get the replay later, or just because I want to watch the emails. So don't be afraid to think of fun ways to entice your registrants to show up live. Send them lots of emails to remind them. Because again, this is the VA domain. If your client has 4 webinars, that's 4 different sets of emails that go out to everyone. And you want to make sure you have an email an hour before, 15 minutes before. You probably have emails a couple of days leading up to the webinar. This is just something that falls in the 80-20 rule. Once that email is written, the client should be able to hand it off to their VA and not have to touch it. And trust me, all of these emails are necessary. Like I said, some people just forget about the webinar. So I feel like that day of emails are crucial. And of course, they're going to be different for every single webinar. If your client has a webinar on Tuesday, those emails go out Tuesday. For everyone who signed up for the one on Thursday, those emails are going to be set and scheduled for Thursday, even though they might have the same copy and a slightly different link, or maybe a different reference to the day of the week. So those type of nuances are the VA can help out with. My favorite thing about the webinar is doing it live. I never thought I would say that. You're talking to a girl who doesn't like to speak in public, especially longer than 3 minutes, especially to a PowerPoint. But as a VA, you can really help the business owners out during the webinar live. And the number one thing you can do is collect their questions. People will be in the chat. You're going to be wanting encouraging conversation, but they're also going to be asking questions for your client to answer. So my team will gather all of those questions, copy and paste them, and put them in a Google Doc. And this is a live document. So while I'm speaking during the webinar and following my slides, they'll be adding the questions for me to answer at the very end. Usually with the format of a webinar, there's a live Q&A at the very end. There's so much security knowing that my team is there for me. I can't watch the chat like a hawk. It distracts me. I got to try to get the content out. I have to try to be a good speaker and get on the transitions. And they also will help engage in the chat for things I miss, for some of those obvious questions. They'll also help collect information that will help me out in my own marketing. And then, of course, when it's time for me to offer my product, they'll post the buy now button and they'll put that link in there so people can click on it and buy it. And that's something that if I were just speaking, I would totally fumble and forget to do myself. So it's so nice knowing that they have my back with that. And they're also a huge help because this is what we do. When someone purchases live during the webinar, they put their name and their location and sometimes a little tidbit about them if, this person was really vocal. And then I can give the new student a shout out. And that creates excitement, creates a little FOMO for all of those attending, and it gives social proof that people are buying my product. But it also makes that connection with the new student, which I'm way more excited about. So, and it makes me feel good. I'm like, okay, somebody bought, like, I'm golden. I'm good. For a while there, it's like throwing a party. You're like, is anyone actually going to come? So when I get that first sale, it gives me a boost of confidence. So there is a huge process for the VA to help out with after the webinar is over. And that includes downloading and uploading the video into a replay page, sending out emails to everyone who missed, so maybe they can sign up for the next one, maybe sending out emails for the replay, for the link for anybody who wants to rewatch it. You can also take the list of everyone who attended and add them into a Facebook ads campaign for retargeting. There is so much that goes on behind the scenes, and I'm really eager for you to learn about this whole webinar stuff so you can start helping out my fellow online business owners, because trust me, they are hiring and they need help. Webinars are super scary for some of us new business owners. When we're putting ourselves out there, it just feels so good to know that we have a pro, a teammate helping us out. It really calms my nerves. I'm not doing it alone. It's like having that business buddy all in one, right? And the therapist all in one. And it's always good to have someone to check and double check that everything is set up. Even now in my business, I have played webinar VA to some of my friends, especially for their first time webinars. They're like, will you help me set this up and make sure things run smoothly? And I know they're smart. I know they can figure it out. But for them, it feels so good to have somebody helping other than them. You know what I mean? So it's really good to start paying attention to webinars from this new behind the scenes VA angle. So if you've never watched one before, I encourage you to start signing up. Amy Porterfield's is coming up, so I think that's a good one to start with. But if you are a webinar junkie like I am, start to pay attention to how the team does things. Pay attention to the speaking, the slides, what's working, what's not working. You can save all the emails. You can put a filter in your Gmail and save all those emails so you can see how people write them, and you can learn copywriting, see what's working, what's not working. I have a whole folder on my desktop dedicated to Facebook ads. So I can, screenshot ads that I like, that I don't like. So I learn. I can see what everyone in the industry is doing. I'm a total nerd, but you guys know that. So I'm telling you all of this webinar stuff because the more webinars you attend, the smarter you get. The more I do them for myself, the smarter I get. So I really want to encourage you to sign up for Amy Porterfield's webinar. The link is in the show notes. She's totally flawless in her delivery. She is a professional. She's been doing this for over 10 years, right? And her teachings are great. The webinar content alone is not going to feel like the Central Florida TV show I was mentioning earlier with Kirsten Dunst. Why can't I think of that show? It's such a weird title. On Becoming a God in Central Florida. Amy's not like that at all. A good webinar will actually teach, and people will leave the webinar feeling good. It might not teach the whole thing, might not teach the big how, but it's going to teach the why. It's going to get people excited, and it's going to give them enough to go. The go-getters will end up signing up for the programs. So I really do want you to watch her. I want you to watch how Amy's team does it in the background. It's so beautiful because she cannot do it alone. She has a team supporting her every step of the way. So Amy has 4 live webinars, and you can sign up for a date that's convenient. And she teaches all of her students to launch with 4 webinars too. So she's practicing what she preaches, right? And teaches. I do 4 webinars too. This is a good practice. The more you do it, the better you get as a business owner. So as a VA, you can see why this is a necessary skill to have in your services. Just do the math. Clients are launching with 4 webinars a launch. Amy encourages them to launch 4 times a year. So that's 16 webinars for you to be assisting and working billable hours. And there's kind of an adrenaline rush. It's a really fun launching. I really love helping my clients launch. I think it's so much fun. At some point, business owners will turn their webinars to evergreen, and they'll use the best recorded version and set it up to be continuously running and making sales. So they make money in their sleep. It's like the dream for every online marketer, right? Every online business owner. And you as a VA, you can help set up that evergreen funnel. So if you want an example of an evergreen funnel, I don't have one right now. I'm still in the practice rookie launch mode of the webinar process, but Amy has one you can watch that's on Evergreen. It's called 3 Simple and Powerful Ways to Kickstart Your Email List. How to grow your list to get your business up and running quickly. This will be good for even you as a freelancer. I would watch this one. Her webinar then promotes her Evergreen course, List Builder Society. So this Evergreen webinar is going continuously. There's always dates for you to sign up for. She's not trying to pretend like it's live. It's obviously recorded, but it will be fun for you to see how that is done. How is the live taken and done as an Evergreen version? Really, you should go watch this. And then when you want to see the live launch for a live product that's only open once a year, then you can sign up for this new masterclass, this new webinar she has called How to Create and Launch a Profitable Digital Course from Scratch. That one's going on as of today, and there's 4 different times you can sign up for. So here's my good Emily advice. Just be nosy. Sign up for all the things. It doesn't mean you need to buy everything. Sign up, watch and learn, watch those retargeted Facebook ads pop up in your feed, watch the email sequences arrive, look at the subject lines, see how people are trying to convince you to show up. Are they offering freebies and goodies and bonuses? Just start paying attention and have fun with it. In no time, you'll be bringing these tricks to your clients to help them get good at webinars and launch their programs and make money. And if you're helping your clients make money, I see a full-time position in your near future. So running webinars and launching is a great way to build up your email list. Every time I launch, I add a couple thousand to my email list. It's pretty cool. But before your clients can just go head first into launching, they're going to want to grow their email list. In the next episode, we're talking to email copywriter Jessie Lewis. She's going to share with us critical components of a stellar lead magnet and how to get it in front of more people so your clients can build their audience. Then, when they're ready to do their webinars and launch their products, they're good to go. So I'll see you then. Thanks for joining me. If you're ready to learn the digital marketing and social media skills that will get you hired online, head over to vacrashcourse.com, where you can learn about my 5-week program, the Digital Media VA Crash Course. Small business owners and solopreneurs want to hire someone who gets it and who can help them implement just about everything. They're looking for a magical assistant who does it all. With my comprehensive training, you can get your foot in the door and become a unicorn. Check out vacrashcourse.com. There's a lot that goes, okay, sorry, I was scratching my nose. It's educational. Is that train horrible? Let me pause for a second.